After being invited out of the mountain by Buddhist disciples in Beijing, I went crazy. I am a Miao girl from southern Xinjiang. I have been with poisonous poison since I was a child. The blood in my body can detoxify hundreds of poisons. Fozi from the Beijing circle made a deal with me. As long as I could save his little green plum, he would marry me. I agreed. But after I rescued Jiang Xuemei, Sun Jinheng married her before our wedding, making me a laughingstock. I ran to question him, and he chuckled lightly and rubbed the beads with his fingertips. Promising you is just a temporary measure. How can you, a wild girl from a deep mountain forest, be qualified to marry me? Jiang Xuemei even asked the servants to take off my clothes and throw me out of Sun's house. I don't care what kind of bitch you are, and you want to marry brother Jinheng. I am not angry either. I used to think about saving their lives after raising the natal gu. Now it seems there is no need for this. 1. The clothes on her body were torn to pieces by Jiang Xuemei's servants. Even if I put it on, it can't cover the exposed spring on my body. I was thrown naked to the side of the road. Many people pointed at me and showed lustful eyes. There was still a kind lady who passed by and put a coat on me. Sun Jinheng's disdainful and disgusting chuckle came to his ears. You have been a savage in the deep mountains and forests for so many years, and now you know how to be ashamed of wearing clothes to hide your ugly face. I looked up, and he was sitting in a black Maybach. On her wrist is a string of Buddhist beads that have been blessed by eminent monks. Although he is known as a disciple of the Buddha, his actions are contrary to the Buddhist teachings. Sun Jinheng, as a Buddhist, you have reneged on what you promised me. Isn't this the character of a Buddhist? In order to save Jiang Xuemei, I gave more than a kilogram of blood in the past few days. You don't feel any guilt at all. I tightened my clothes, and my face was still a little pale after donating a lot of blood during this period. That's why you're stupid. He was unmoved and could not see his expression clearly while hiding in the car. He just paused slightly when his fingers were rubbing the beads. Don't use this kind of reputation to pressure me. Since you know that I am a Buddhist, you should also know that I have the final say in everything I do. No one can restrain me. I laughed. He was shaking with laughter. It's not that I didn't consider that he would break his promise. I just thought that it wouldn't matter even if he was really cheated. After all, I never thought about actually marrying him. I just didn't expect his current behavior to completely anger me. Yesterday, I was still hesitating whether to save his life or not. Now he made a choice for me. You still have the heart to laugh when you see me. Jiang Xuemei's eerie voice whispered into my ear. And Xing Luo, you want to compete with me for brother Jinheng? I hope you can still laugh after a while. Jiang Xuemei, I saved you, and this is how you treat your savior. There was a sneer in her eyes, and her face was as cold as ice. Savior? You're just a bitch. Your blood can save me because you've been blessed for 8 lifetimes. You should also be grateful to me for not to stain your dirty blood. As she spoke, she tore off the coat I was wearing. With a haughty look in his eyes, he turned around and got into the car, leaving with Sun Jinheng. After they left, many people on the roadside showed their burning desires to me, until I walked through an intersection. Suddenly, several strong men forcibly dragged me into the dark alley. For people surrounded me, all with dirty smiles on their faces. This is a villa area, and there are surveillance cameras everywhere, so you are not afraid of being caught if you commit any crime. I was extremely calm and not at all panicked. Little girl, don't even think about escaping now. I'm not afraid to tell you that Miss Jiang has already shut down the surveillance around here. Tonight, my brothers will definitely make you happy. Hearing this, I felt relieved. A shiny black centipede crawled out from my long, lush hair. There were also densely packed little spiders, which instantly covered my hands. The dark alley was silent. Only occasionally, he would scream in fear. But it disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. 2. After coming out of the alley, I went back to the hotel. Wearing clothes that he had taken off casually, he looked a little embarrassed and pitiful. In fact, I did not come out of the deep mountains and forests of southern Xinjiang voluntarily. The engagement with Sun Jinheng was not initiated by me. It was he who found our village and took out the string of Buddhist beads that were used to prove that he was a Buddhist disciple in Beijing. The village chief said that we owed Buddhism a cause and effect in the past. When someone takes out the string of beads, it means that we should fulfill this cause and effect. As the only person in the village who could master the art of playing gu, he could only be taken out of the mountains by Sun Jinheng. I have to say that during that time, I really fell in love with him. It feels like there are so many more interesting things in this world than gu insects. He took me to the amusement park, where I could howl wildly while riding on the exciting roller coaster. On the most romantic Ferris wheel, you can see thousands of lights. I remember that he also said that there was a rumor that when the Ferris wheel reaches the top, couples kissing will be blessed. Somehow, when I heard him say these words, my heart beat even more excitedly than if I had obtained the Gu King. When he comes back from the playground, he will cook for me himself. Although the food he made was not delicious, looking at his cautious and aggrieved look, I felt he was cuter than my Gu worm. Later, I also saw that he was domineering and powerful in the circle, and he was domineering in the company. I don't know where he found out about my birthday. That night, he took me to the riverside and watched an unforgettable fireworks. At the brightest moment of the fireworks, he hugged me gently, his hot breath hitting my ear. Xing Luo, after you rescue Xuemei, shall we get married? At that second, I admitted that I was totally lost. Even though he was holding back the stinging sensation, he nodded in agreement without hesitation. These days, I have tried my best to save Jiang Xuemei. But I never imagined that everything Sun Jinheng did was a scam to deceive me. Didn't anyone tell him? You can mess with anyone, but don't mess with the Miao girls from southern Xinjiang. You can lie to anything, but don't lie to the feelings of the Miao girls in southern Xinjiang. As soon as I returned to the hotel, I found that all my luggage had been left on the roadside. I was about to go up to question him, but the hotel security guard already spoke first. Mizen, I'm sorry. You haven't paid the room fee for a long time, so we can only kick you out. How is it possible? Sun Jinheng clearly said that this hotel is his property. As soon as I said this, I froze. The security guard opposite also showed sympathy and ridicule. After reacting, I also laughed. He was preparing to kill everyone and drive me out of the capital. At this time, the security guard spoke again. Miss N, if I were you, I would leave immediately. No one in the capital can compete with Master Sun. But I just don't believe in this evil. Carrying my suitcase, I searched all the hotels around. The answer given to me was that it was either full or they would not accept me. Even though he said he had a room at first, after seeing my ID card, he immediately kicked me out. When he was kicked out of the hotel for the 13th time, the worn-out senior phone in his hand rang. And Xing Luo, can't you find a place to stay? Let me tell you, a bitch like you only deserves to live in a dirty sewer with rats. As long as I'm here, you can't stand a chance. I almost knew it was Jiang Xuemei's voice without having to identify it. I don't know why she hates me so much. Obviously, I am the one who should be hated. Donating blood saved her life, but she also stole my fiancé and humiliated me wantonly. However, for us Gu girls, revenge is a very delicate job, and you have to let her enjoy the fear slowly. 3. In the end, I couldn't find a hotel to stay in, so I had to spend one night in the park. Before dawn, I was woken up by shouts on the roadside. I never expected that I would meet Sun Jinheng so early. He took Jiang Xuemei with him, saying that he was going to the Buddhist temple in the south of the city to pray for blessings. Then I suddenly remembered that the old village chief asked me to go to the Buddhist temple before going down the mountain. It's just that during this period of time, I was so absorbed in Sun Jinheng's deception that I forgot about it. He quietly followed them to the Buddhist temple. Having climbed the mountains and forests all year round, the 1,001 steps to the Buddhist temple were not too difficult for me. On the contrary, Sun Jinheng and Jiang Xuemei had to rest for half a day after walking 100 or 200 steps. When I passed them, Jiang Xuemei still saw me. With a sneer on her face, she snorted sarcastically and disdainfully. And Xing Luo, I didn't expect that a wild girl like you is quite infatuated. You know that Brother Jin Heng and I are already married, but you still want to entangle with him. Do you want me to be more generous and give you the title of concubine? Sun Jinheng also looked at me at this time and began to subconsciously rub the beads on his wrist. I smiled calmly, a hint of gloom flashing in my eyes. But soon there was a hint of amusement on his face. Okay, I don't care what your title is, but there is a kind of poison in southern Xinjiang called lover's poison. If I plant it for Sun Jinheng, he will only love me from now on, obey my words, and then let him divorce you. Hearing this, both Sun Jinheng and Jiang Xuemei's expressions changed. One person is afraid that Sun Jinheng will change his mind. One is afraid that I will obey my words. When I took out a small spider from my body, the two of them were instantly frightened and their expressions changed. Jiang Xuemei even stood in front of Sun Jinheng and cursed at me. Get out of here, you bitch. Didn't I teach you enough yesterday? Believe it or not, I found 10 times as many people to make your life worse than death. I wasn't angry even when faced with Jiang Xuemei's insults. But none of them saw the little golden toad on the ground. No matter how much I urged, they didn't dare to get close to Sun Jinheng. It still doesn't work. I muttered unwillingly. Finally, he glanced at Jiang Xuemei playfully until she was trembling all over, and then continued up the mountain. After arriving at the Buddhist temple, I took out the old village chief's token and met the abbot. This time I came without wasting too much time, just to pay off the cause and effect mentioned by the old village chief. Before leaving, the abbot of the Buddhist temple told me that some things cannot be changed with the help of Gu insects. I know what he means, but he couldn't figure out what I was thinking. He's just a man, and it's not the most important thing to me. Gu insects are my most reliable partners. Come down from the mountain. Soon a piece of news reached my ears. It was Sun Jinheng who specially held a celebration banquet for Jiang Xuemei in the hotel in order to celebrate her sobriety. For this kind of occasion, I will naturally not miss it. As soon as he appeared in the hotel banquet hall, Sun Jinheng received the news. Due to the occasion, he could not directly drive me away. He could only appear next to me and start scolding me in a low voice. And Xing Luo, what else do you want? I'm married. Can you stop harassing me? And what kind of place is this? Isn't it a place for people like you who don't know etiquette? Get out of here quickly. I smiled and said nothing. It's really funny to see him upset and unable to do anything about me. After all, everyone in the city knew about the wedding between Sun Jinheng and me. They say he is a man who values love and justice and would rather devote himself to me for Shao Qingmei. Now, I'm a little curious. Sun Jinheng, what do you think they will think of you if everyone now knows that you secretly married Jiang Xuemei and broke your promise to us? As soon as I finished speaking, the man in front of me was like an enraged lion, baring his teeth and claws at me. He pinched my arm so hard that he wanted to crush my wrist bones. He lowered his voice and warned me, "In Qingluo, don't be ignorant of good and evil. If you leave now, I can still save some face for you. Otherwise, you won't be able to keep your rotation that night." I smiled slightly, naturally understanding the threat in his words. But he probably didn't know it from beginning to end. I'm afraid several people that night had already. He stretched out his hand and caressed the side of his face, feeling a stinging pain instantly hit him. A small spider landed on his collar, but it quickly fell to the ground weakly and was beaten to death. Leave? Why should I leave? Today's celebration banquet for Jiang Xuemei, no matter what, I am her savior. I want to see how you and your wife are so heartless. If you want everyone to see your true face, I don't mind if these things are exposed. No matter what, I'd better go back to my deep mountains and forests. After saying that, before he could react, I passed him and walked towards the banquet hall. During the time we were entangled, we had already attracted the attention of other people in the banquet hall. Many people still have good intentions toward me, a miracle doctor who can cure hundreds of poisons, and they came up to say hello to me. I also accepted everyone who came, clinking glasses and drinking with everyone. Everyone was curious about me and gave me joking looks. It is said that Mr. Sun is a Buddhist man in Beijing circles and is not flirtatious with women. Now it seems that he just hasn't met his sweetheart yet. Doctor and has just appeared and seduced our Mr. Sun into despair. I smiled and said nothing. Behind him, Sun Jinheng forced a smile on his face, but he couldn't give an explanation and could only drink the red wine in his hand. Not long after, Jiang Xuemei, today's heroine, appeared. She also saw me standing in the venue at a glance, her brows furrowed slightly, but she soon relaxed. I still maintained basic etiquette in front of others and pretended to be close friends with me. Missin is here today too? Why didn't you inform me in advance? I have informed you in advance. Will Miss Jiang still let me show up? Isn't that why I want people to drive me out of the capital? I asked back calmly, and the scene fell silent for an instant. This sentence also seemed to ignite Jiang Xuemei's anger, and she gritted her teeth and stared at me. Due to the situation, he suppressed his anger and looked like he was smiling. How could it happen? Miss Un is my savior. I'm not curious about how a person like you, who lives in the mountains and forests, would be interested in such a noisy gathering like ours. Is it possible that Miss Un has become accustomed to the current life and can't go back to the hard days before? Naturally, I heard the sarcasm and ridicule in Jiang Xuemei's mouth. But I don't care. I naturally have my purpose for appearing here this time. Seeing that I stopped talking, Jiang Xuemei raised her chin proudly, like a victorious rooster. Wandering around with a glass of wine, he drank a lot in a short while. Little did she know that alcohol was something that could excite people, and it was also effective on goo insects. Seeing that the time was almost ripe, the poisonous insects hidden deep in my hair began to make a continuous buzzing sound. This kind of sound cannot be caught by humans, but goo insects can hear it. In an instant, Jiang Xuemei's body could not help but twist and move. She grabbed her collar uncomfortably, and there were dense red spots on her exposed skin. Many guests present noticed something strange about Jiang Xuemei. "Miss Jiang, what's wrong with you?" "Look, maybe you're allergic to something." She fell into Sun Jinheng's arms, panting heavily and looking at me with horrified eyes. "And Qingluo, what did you do to me? Why can't I control my body?" Sun Jinheng was also shocked by this sudden change. He stood there helplessly holding Jiang Xuemei. At this time, a bodyguard in black hurried in from outside the door. He didn't know what he said in Sun Jinheng's ear. I saw that his expression changed instantly, and he was uncertain. Finally, my body couldn't help but tremble. I looked at me in disbelief, and my voice blurted out. "How is that possible?" "5. I didn't hear clearly what they said. But the look in Sun Jinheng's last look at me was full of fear, and he probably thought of it. Calculating the time, the 4 strong men who were invaded by my poison yesterday should be poisoned by now. No matter how healthy a person is, they cannot withstand the toxicity of the 5 poison goo insects. This is because I deliberately slowed down the speed of poisoning. Otherwise, these people can be turned into poisonous water on the spot. Mr. Sun, it looks like Miss Jiang is sick. It's better to send her to the hospital as soon as possible. Yes, Mr. Sun, don't delay Miss Jiang's condition. Miss Jiang has just released the poison. She is still weak and cannot wait too long. Everyone at the venue looked at Sun Jinheng's stunned look, thinking that he was frightened by Jiang Xuemei's incident, and began to persuade him. I took 2 steps forward without haste, closing the distance between me and Sun Jinheng, and my voice instantly became as gentle as water. Yes, Jinheng, your little Qingmei is not feeling well. You'd better send her to the hospital quickly. If it's too late and you can't save her life, you'll have to blame me again. But he felt like he was facing a formidable enemy. My body tensed up instantly, and I quickly took 2 or 3 steps back, looking at me warily. The right hand with the prayer beads pointed at me. "And Qingluo, don't come close to me. Stay away from me." "What are you afraid of? Jinheng, you also said you would marry me. How can we get married in the future if we are too far away from you?" I took another step forward. The insect moans emitted by the goo worms on her body became stronger and stronger. Jiang Xuemei's body twisted more and more, and waves of pain appeared on her face. I didn't stop until the distance between me and Sun Jinheng was less than 1 meter. There was a playful expression on his face and a hint of venom. Are you afraid that I will eat you? That's why you lied to me to detoxify Zhang Xuemei and then married her before our wedding. Who do you think I, and Qin Luo, am? A wild girl who lets you play with me at will? There was a bang. Everyone in the banquet hall heard my complaint and made a roar. There was a lot of discussion, and everyone was looking at Sun Jinheng and Zhang Xuemei with contempt and disgust. The crowds were surging, and the noise was endless. Sun Jinheng didn't even know when the string of Buddhist beads on his right hand broke. By the time he reacted, the prayer beads had been scattered all over the floor, kicked away by the crowd, and disappeared. I really didn't expect that Sun Jinheng is this kind of person. He goes back on his word, and yet he has the nerve to say that he is a Buddhist. I have already said that he is not as reputable as he appears on the surface. He is just a person who is just trying to gain fame. You have all been deceived. If you ask me, doctor, and is the most saddened, I heard that he donated more than 1 kilogram of blood to save Zhang Xuemei. I didn't expect that the two of them have teamed up to cheat her out of her relationship. Sun Jinheng watched me approaching step by step, as if he remembered something. He looked at me with fear on his face, and his voice could not suppress the trembling. You did this on purpose. You must have done something to Zhang Xuemei. He finally recalled that Zhang Xuemei stretched out her hand stiffly and tore off the beads on his wrist. That look was like a puppet being manipulated. At this moment, Sun Jinheng was no longer protected by Buddhist beads. I leaned forward Shiran, pressed tightly against his ear, and whispered, I'm a voodoo girl. Isn't it normal to do things like this? Have you forgotten that I have been with goo bugs since I was a child, and the blood in my body contains countless tiny goo bugs? You asked me to donate blood to Zhang Xuemei, and you also deceived my feelings. Do you think you can escape my revenge so easily? Upon hearing my gloomy words, the hairs on Sun Jinheng's whole body stood up and his scalp became numb. The fear in his eyes almost overflowed from his eyes, and he no longer even cared about Zhang Xuemei in his arms. It was thrown towards me, trying to block my progress. He staggered back until his body was leaning against the cold wall, shouting like a madman. Don't be deceived by her. This woman is not a miracle doctor. She is a poisonous woman and a bewitched woman. She is responsible for Zhang Xuemei's current appearance. She is covered in poisonous insects and wants to poison us. Even Zhang Xuemei's bodyguard has suffered from her poisonous hands. Hearing this, I looked aggrieved. My eyes were filled with tears, and I looked pitiful. Jinheng, even if you don't want to marry me, there's no need to slander me. I know you just lied to me and wanted to cure your little Qingmei. I fell in love with you on my own, but I don't regret it. 6. My self-pitying expression instantly attracted the sympathy of many people. When I went out to treat Zhang Xuemei, Sun Jinheng dressed me up as a miracle doctor in order to have a good identity. I live up to expectations. For some minor injuries and poisons, I can just use some goo insects to cure them. This is the key to my ability to quickly spread my reputation in the circle. Seeing that no one believed him, Sun Jinheng suddenly felt helpless on his face. After asking his bodyguards to stop me, he took advantage of the chaos and escaped from the hotel. Watching his leaving figure, I didn't feel anxious at all. Until all the guests in the banquet hall had left, only Zhang Xuemei, who was feeling uncomfortable all over, was left alone on the floor. Seeing me slowly walking towards her without urging the goo worm, Zhang Xuemei, who was gradually waking up, looked at me with fear. Don't come here. And Qin Luo, I was wrong. I won't compete with you for Sun Jinheng. She kept retreating until I forced her into a corner. In her frightened eyes, a small flower snake with colorful body crawled out from my sleeve. Only a scream was heard. I slowly walked out of the hotel and walked towards the Buddhist temple. Soon, I caught up with the panting Sun Jinheng on the 1,001 steps in front of the Buddhist temple. He looked at me with horror on his face, and his voice became extremely hoarse. Why are you here? And Qin Luo, how do you know I'm here? Seeing his fear, I waved slightly. A small, almost invisible spider crawled out of Sun Jinheng's hair. Of course, my baby showed me the way. Seeing the scene, Sun Jinheng was stunned. The next second, he frantically patted the clothes all over his body, trying to check if there were any bugs on his body. Naturally, I guessed what he was thinking and looked at him playfully. Why don't you guess how many goo worms I put on you? After being teased by me one after another, Sun Jinheng gradually calmed down. He deserves to have a pure young physique that is rare in thousands of years, and he has a sharp mind. Even though my heart was still full of fear, I calmed down and started thinking. You must have planted a poison on me when you were talking in my ear in the hotel. No matter how much I hurt you before, you never planted a poison on me. Now that the poison is on me, is it because of the string of Buddhist beads? Hearing this, my expression changed slightly. He guessed right. The presence of the string of beads caused me to fail in trying to bewitch him many times. At the back, Gu Chong didn't even dare to approach Sun Jinheng. Even someone like me, who is full of voodoo aura, will be counterattacked by the beads after coming into contact with him. However, Sun Jinheng never left the string of Buddhist beads. Then I had an idea. In Qin Luo, the blood in your body is full of poisonous insects, so even you can't remove the string of beads. So in the name of detoxifying Zhang Xuemei, you use the blood in your body to poison her, and then manipulate her body to destroy the beads on my wrist. Sun Jinheng, who had thoughts, guessed what happened in a few words. Quite different from what he said. In fact, the toxins in Jiang Xuemei's body are not serious for a voodoo girl like me. Simple detoxification only requires a random 5 poison goo insect. Just to control her body, you have to pay a certain price. I looked at Sun Jinheng with a sweet smile, and my eyes showed admiration again. This look was what he showed after meeting him for the first time. It is greed and desire. Sun Jinheng, you are really amazing. You guessed the truth so quickly, but the Goo King raised by someone like you must be very powerful. He pursed his lips tightly and said nothing. But the sweat on his forehead kept pouring down. I stretched out the tip of my scarlet tongue and licked the corners of my lips, showing a hungry look on my face. Now that you have no beads to resist me, stop struggling and merge with my cutest goo insect to become the most powerful Goo King. As soon as I finished speaking, I rushed forward, preparing to press on Sun Jinheng and control the goo worms to penetrate into his body. But he smiled disdainfully and took out another string of Buddhist beads from a pile of rocks behind him. Suddenly, it felt like a hot, burning pain surged into my hands. All the goo insects that had just climbed onto Sun Jinheng's body fled from his body in a panic. I looked in disbelief and shouted hysterically, "You actually hide a string of Buddhist beads." He put the beads on his wrist and looked at me with contempt. Guess why I came to the temple during the day? If you don't have a backup plan, tell me why I'm waiting for you on the mountainside. Why don't you go directly to the Buddhist temple? Knowing that you are a goo girl from southern Xinjiang, would I still be stupid enough to wait for you to harm me? As soon as the words fell, a furious roar came from the dark night sky. You can't even do this little thing well. You're such a useless piece of trash. 7. I subconsciously turned around and saw the old village chief slowly walking up the steps at the bottom of the mountain with a cane. He was obviously just an old man, but these hundreds of steps seemed like walking on flat ground to him. Village chief, you didn't say you could leave the village. Why did you come out? I was a little surprised. When the old village chief asked me to come out to detoxify Jiang Xuemei, he told me that he would be restricted for life and could not leave the mountain. I ran over all the way, but before I could react, I was slapped hard by him and pushed to the side. The corner of his lip was cut and dripping with blood. The usually amiable old village chief now has a sinister face and looks at me with cold eyes, like looking at a poisonous insect that is about to be devoured after a failed battle. If you can't even fight a brat, what's the point of having you here? I've spent so many years adopting you and teaching you how to raise and refine goo. In the end, you are still a waste. The old village chief said these words. All the poisonous insects in my body seemed to have heard the call instantly. They all fled from me and gathered around the old village chief. Only then did I realize that the thing he was holding in his hand was not a crutch, but a dark and shiny venomous snake, which was spitting messages at me viciously. Within a short time, the ground was covered with all kinds of goo insects. The white jade-like steps suddenly turned dark. There was only a slight gap where Sun Jinheng and I were. He held up the string of beads in his hand, trying to scare away the dense crowd of goo insects. A disdainful chuckle appeared in the old village chief's eyes. If that old bald donkey was holding a Buddhist bead that thousands of people had prayed for, I would still give in. Now you, a hairless kid like you, want to stop me? As soon as he finished speaking, a voice came from above the steps. Old Guru, you have broken the contract. You don't even have the face to attack this junior. Also, according to our agreement, I won this competition. Now you should return to southern Xinjiang and never come out to harm others for the rest of your life. I looked up and recognized at a glance that the person who appeared was the abbot of the Buddhist temple I had just met during the day. In his hand, he held a Buddhist string composed of hundreds of beads. Like the sun shining brightly, when he appeared, all the goo insects retreated. When the old village chief saw this, his eyes showed a fierce look and a deep sense of unwillingness. Why should I withdraw from southern Xinjiang and live a life of poverty and backwardness, while fake monks like you can live such a glorious life in the secular world? I'm going to destroy this bullshit promise today. I'm going to kill your entire temple. Let's see who can stop me in the future. In an instant, an overwhelming number of goo insects swarmed up the steps and bit into the abbot of the Buddhist temple. The dense army of poisonous insects frightened Sun Jinheng and I so we could only keep climbing and hide in the temple. Soon after, the old village chief's angry roar came from outside. There are also the cries of countless goo insects when they face death. It wasn't until the sky gradually became brighter that the commotion outside seemed to calm down. The door of the temple was gently pushed open, making a rattling sound. Then he saw the abbot of the Buddhist temple, covered in poisonous corpses, walking in. Sun Jinheng and I both subconsciously breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, I heard the abbot of the Buddhist temple turn pale, grab Sun Jinheng's neck, and was about to throw him into a furnace in the front yard of the temple. There was a raging fire burning inside, and several kinds of herbs could be faintly seen. There was a burst of strange fragrance, which was refreshing. Good Buddha, don't blame me for being cruel. Without you to refine the relics, I really wouldn't be able to survive this time. 8. I looked at this sudden incident in shock. Sun Jinheng was choked by the host. He rolled his eyes and couldn't move. As if sensing my doubts, the abbot of the Buddhist temple casually explained. This body of pure yang can not only be used to raise goo. After cultivating relics, it will be enough for me to live for 30 more years. When I heard the host talking about these secrets, instead of relaxing, I shivered subconsciously. He could talk to me about this blatantly, so naturally, he was not prepared to let me go. Just when Sun Jinheng was about to be thrown into the furnace by the host let out a scream. He was so immersed in the joy of refining Sun Jinheng that he didn't notice a tiny goo insect crawling from Sun Jinheng's body to the back of his neck. A mouthful full of poison instantly caused bursts of blackness to appear on the host's body. I rushed forward, grabbed Sun Jinheng, and helped him in the corner. "Are you okay?" The deep handprint on his neck was almost turning purple, and he suddenly smiled bitterly. "If you take one step slower, I will really have to die." At this moment, the host collapsed to the ground, looking at me and Sun Jinheng with ferocious eyes. "It's actually the natal goo. Little girls, you actually conspired to deceive me and the old goo. I didn't expect that I've lived for so long and fought against the old poison, but I fell on the two of you little brats." Sun Jinheng gradually stood up with my help and looked at him with cold eyes. "Do you think I didn't know what happened that killed my whole family? They have used Buddhist scriptures to bewitch me since I was a child, even pretended to be a disciple of Buddhism on me, and used Jiang Xuemei to spy on me. I have kept these in mind." Hearing Sun Jinheng expose him, the host's eyes widened instantly. Soon after, the sounds of police cars and ambulances were heard outside the house. Under the recommendation of Sun Jinheng, the traitor, all the evil deeds committed by the abbot of the Buddhist temple over the years were made public. The Buddhist temple was sealed, and the abbot was sentenced to death. After returning to the hospital, I also removed the poison from Jiang Xuemei. I never poisoned her, I just let her die temporarily so as not to attract the attention of the old village chief and the abbot of the Buddhist temple. All this is a plan made together by Sun Jinheng and I. The purpose is to get rid of the control of the old village chief and the abbot of the Buddhist temple. When I accidentally learned that I had been raised as a voodoo girl by the old village chief since I was a child, in order to fight with the Buddhist disciples in the Buddhist temple. This is an agreement made by the old village chief and the abbot of the Buddhist temple. So after seeing Sun Jinheng take out the string of Buddhist beads, I became interested. I was originally thinking about how to tell everything to Sun Jinheng, but I didn't expect that he had the same idea as me. In order to paralyze the old village chief and the abbot of the Buddhist temple, he and I made various tentative moves along the way. He pretended that he wanted to marry me. I pretended to promise him. When I learned from Sun Jinheng's shocked expression in the hotel that he had been poisoned by 4 bodyguards sent by Jiang Xuemei, I knew that the critical moment had arrived. I was very measured in my poisoning. If someone hadn't increased the dose, those people wouldn't have died at all. The only explanation is that the old village chief finally couldn't bear it and went down the mountain. So, I used goo insects to manipulate Empress Jiang Xuemei. Borrowing Jiang Xuemei's hand, he removed the Buddhist beads from Sun Jinheng's hand and poisoned her to faint. Let the abbot of the Buddhist temple lose his spy on Sun Jinheng and hide his life goo in advance. No matter whether it is the old village chief or the abbot of the Buddhist temple who wins in the end. Even Sun Jinheng, a person with a pure yang constitution, could not escape the vicious hands of these two people. I just never thought of it. The abbot of the Buddhist temple actually wanted to turn him into a relic alive. The matter finally came to an end. I came to the seaside of my dreams. In the past, I always looked deep in the mountains and forests, but never saw the ocean. Now that I see him, I feel a lot more relaxed. Suddenly, many fireworks rose from the beach not far away. I walked over curiously and was hugged by a warm embrace. In Qingluo, no one is standing between us now. I want to marry you. Will you marry me? At that moment, my heart beat extremely hard. Unexpectedly, acting on a whim has now become a reality. This time, Sun Jinheng took me to ride the Ferris wheel again. When the Ferris wheel reaches the highest point, he held my cheek tenderly and kissed my face lovingly. I love you, Qingluo. These love words make me happy all my life.